Hey guys, just a reminder, the annual elk hunting seminar hosted by Christian Hunters of America is coming up this July 16th. Doors open at 5 p.m., seminars at 6. BowhuntingAZ will be there recording podcasts, and we'll have our booth there as well with merch. So come say hi, and let's all elevate our knowledge about elk. See you there. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the BowhuntingAZ Podcast. On today's episode, I interview Chris Creed, the voice behind Afflictor and Director of Sales Manager for Afflictor Broadheads. Chris is in Canada doing some bear hunting with friends and family. He's been at this spot for over 70 years, and today we kind of cover bear hunting, hunting in general, and just anything to do with Afflictor and their broadheads. This is a phenomenal broadhead that I've had just phenomenal flight from, and I really am proud to be able to use these broadheads. So let's jump on into this episode. Pardon any technical difficulties that we have. Chris is out in the middle of nowhere in the upper area of Canada, so you might hear some cuts and things like that, but just roll with it and try and be as organic as possible. And so let's get on into the episode. Backwoods grind. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a huge coffee nut. I like my coffee strong and a solid flavor to back it up. The guys over at Backwoods Grind have it going on. I get my coffee shipped every 2 weeks to me automatically, and you can choose whole bean or different variations of ground. You can opt for a one-time purchase, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. Backwoods Grind is a coffee that goes beyond the mug. From traditions to memories and long-lasting relationships, these are all built upon the passion brought to you by their blends, specifically roasted for hunters and outdoorsmen alike. Be sure to check out their 3 newly released blends, Camp House, Fireside, and Nightcap. Visit backwoodsgrind.com and use code BAZ10 to get 10% off your order. I'd also like to thank Rax. Rax is hands down the coolest bow hangers on the market. Display your bow with pride in your house, your garage, or anywhere you'd like. They carry most major bow brands while also offering a custom service if you have an idea or logo of your own that you'd like to make into a bow hanger. Use them to display your traditional bow, compound bow, or crossbow. They also work great for hanging your hunting gear, bags, or hats. Not to mention, the designs look just plain awesome all by themselves. A Rax hanger makes for a great gift for that special hunter in your life. Go to raxinc.com. That's RAXXINC.com to see some of the available designs, or contact Rax to discuss a custom hanger of your own. If you'd like to see how sick their custom hangers are, go check out my Instagram feed. For listeners of the BowhuntingAZ Podcast, use the promo code PODCAST and get 15% off your order. Rax, show off your passion. Open Country Optics. Open Country Optics is your #1 online source for optics and optics rentals. With quality Swarovski glass before your eyes, Open Country Optics brings the game closer. Rentals include a tripod, binos, and you can even add on a phone scope or foldable chair to glass from. All of the optics arrive in a durable Pelican case with insulated foam. You won't find any other company who provides you an all-inclusive package like Open Country Optics. Visit them today at opencountryoptics.com. Use promo code BHAZ and get 5% off rentals or $50 off any optics purchase. Open Country Optics, bringing the game closer. Scent Assassin. Scent Assassin, the new leader in scent elimination. Scent Assassin manufactures the latest technology in scent elimination spray, body wash, and laundry detergent. Forget the wind, hunt anywhere, anytime. Check out their full product line at scentassassin.com. Use promo code BowhuntingAZ for 20% off your order. Hey everyone, thanks for joining in another episode of the BowhuntingAZ Podcast. I'm here today with Chris Creed. He's the Director of Sales for Afflictor, and he's also kind of the voice behind social media, manages a lot of other aspects of Afflictor and stuff. Chris is currently in Canada right now, kind of on a bear hunt, doing some bear hunting with friends and family. And tell us a little bit, how old were you when you first started hunting? Do you remember that very first time that you kind of went outdoors, and who was it that took you out there and everything?
Yeah, Yeah, I sure do. Actually, my whole family have always been big outdoors people, big hunters, and I was toting around a Red Ryder BB gun at 3, dragging it in the mud and, learning that way. So actually by 5, I was spending a lot of time in the woods. And I don't remember when I harvested my first animal, but we did a lot of squirrel hunting as kids, and just rabbit hunting was big, and we had a good time. And so I started very young.
Yeah, yep. Seems like that rabbit and small game and everything is kind of the first iteration of everybody's hunting adventure. I started off on quail and rabbits and kind of dove, and then you just kind of work your way up gradually and go from there.
Yeah, I think so. It's a good introduction. It's a good way for a youth hunter to get involved and to like something that's relatively easy, and it's a good learning experience.
Yeah, it's active too. There's so many of them almost wherever you are, you can be in any sort of environment, and there's a plentiful amount of those, and so it's something that's active and gets the action going and gets that passion started.
Right.
To date, what's your most memorable or impactful hunt that you've done?
Wow, I've had so many. It's hard for me, but I think my most impactful hunt was a turkey hunt with my grandfather just a year before he passed. He was 89 and just as spry in the woods as anybody, but he was battling cancer, and he lost that battle. So that last hunt with him, it was successful, but it was one of those turkey hunts where you hunt all day, haven't really heard much, and as you're getting ready to go to the truck, you hear that gobble way off in the distance. So we shot back into the woods. We got set up, and from about 300 yards away, we could see him coming, and he worked his way in perfect right to us and came gobbling the whole way and put a great shot on. And it was just a giant bird, 1.25 inch spurs, 26 pounds, and 11.5 inch beard. So it was just the most perfect hunt in the world. So that's probably one of my most cherished.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. What is your unaccomplished dream hunt so far? What's the next thing that you kind of have your eyes set on?
Well, it's more of a dream hunt than something I would ever be able to afford to do. But I would love to do a coastal brown bear hunt in Alaska where you're doing some halibut fishing, some crabbing, and then getting out and doing some shoreline spot and stock for archery big bears. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be fun to work your way up that whole way. I want to do some salmon fishing up there too. My dad's a big fisherman, so be able to go up there.
That'd be incredible to wrap that all into one trip. I think would be pretty neat.
Absolutely. So before we jump into the different types of broadheads that you offer and stuff, kind of tell the listeners for me, what's the difference between so you have 2 sets of all different kinds of broadheads. It's the HD and then you have the EXT HD lines. What's the difference kind of between those two so that we know when we're looking to how we differentiate these?
Sure. Well, anytime you see HD after any of our broadheads, it just stands for heavy duty, which means it goes from 100 grain broadhead, and the HD means it's a 125. So that's the only differentiation there. When you look at our whole line, the thing that separates the lines are the tip. And so we have our K2 tip, which is a wide tip. And so the blade angle from the tip all the way to the back corner of the blade is consistent. On our EXT broadheads, it's a much steeper platform, so that tip has a much steeper angle. And so on some of the EXT line, instead of having a continuous cutting angle, like on the new Ultraviolet and even our stainless steel version, the Hybrid X, you'll see that the blades kind of sweep out a little bit. And so it's kind of more of a personal preference difference that anybody, do I want a wider angle tip or a steeper angle tip? But that's the differentiation between the main lines. Okay. Perfect. What's your price range from broadheads, like from the lowest all the way to the highest that you have? And then those are all typically in sets of 3, I believe, right? Yeah, so all the broadheads are packed in 3s, and almost all of our broadheads are at the $44.99 mark, except our solid stainless steel broadheads, which we have 2 of those right now. We have the Swine Afflictor, which is our K2 tip, and then we have the Hybrid X, which is our EXT tip, and those run for $49.99 a pack. Okay, perfect.
How many different types of broadheads do you guys currently have?
Boy, a bunch. And we just keep growing off of these platforms. the owner and inventor of Afflictor, Keith Powell, he's just one of those genius guys as far as coming up with concepts and ideas. And his original platform, the way his technology works, just allows us to kind of piggyback off of it for lots of different ideas. And so he came up with this new shorter ferrule idea last year, which allowed us to launch the Ultraviolet and the new K2 Mini, which we've seen awesome success with. It's an 1.5 inch cut broadhead, and we came out with some cool colors, that purple color and then the green that everybody likes. So We're having a lot of success with that.
I was excited to see the green, man. That's my favorite color. And so when I saw that, I was like, yes.
Awesome. And actually, that broadhead is so new and just became available. We have a couple hunters using that broadhead in camp this week, so I'm really excited to see how it does on a bear.
Absolutely. Got to get that signature up close photo of the broadhead covered in a little bit of blood
there. Exactly.
So you've got we're going to kind of go over some of the series here. I've broken everything down. And so you've got your Red Arrow Signature series. You've got the RAS, which is Red Arrow Signature, RAS Fixed, and the RAS Hybrid. Can you kind of cover those two for us and tell us what the specifics are?
So the RAS Hybrid is based on our original technology, which was our K2 Hybrid, our number one seller, 1 3/4 cut. And the difference is, of course, besides the ferrule color for the RAS is we put that steeper angled EXT tip on that RAS Hybrid. And so you can see where the tip comes down really steep, and then the blaze will just kind of sweep away a little bit. So it's still an 1 3/4 cut. And then we hybridized the fixed blade broadhead to come up with an RAS, and that's off of our fixed EXT platform. And so it's just a really neat, 2-blade with bleeder type style fix that's just tough as nails. So that's what mostly differentiates those two.
Yeah, absolutely. So next you've got your fixed broadheads, which is my personal favorite. That's the line that I've really bought into, and that's your K2 Fixed, your K2 Fixed HD, and then your fixed EXT and your fixed EXT HD. Can you kind of run over those for us?
Yes. Yeah, so the fixed line is really cool. And plus, we got some new stuff coming out on that line here pretty soon where you can be able to get into some heavyweights.
Oh, nice.
But right now, we have the 100 grain, 125. And the difference is the fixed EXT has two wider main blades and then kind of traditional bleeder blades. So for the guys that like a traditional style 2-blade, exactly, that's what you're looking at right there. And the K2 Fixed is more of a traditional 4-blade for the guys that like the 4-blade broadhead. And I just got to shoot the K2 Fixed last year for whitetail, and it was just incredible. It kind of, that design leaves basically a 20-gauge slug hole when it goes through. When I trialed the fixed EXT, I shot 2 deer on the ground with a crossbow with that broadhead, and the first arrow passed through and went 42 yards. The arrow kept going, and then the next arrow I never found, even with a metal detector. So We're still looking for that to see how far it went, but they're both excellent penetrating broadheads and very tough.
Sure, absolutely. So when I first got into archery and I had somebody set my bow up for me and stuff, I hadn't heard of Afflictor yet, and of course they pointed me immediately to the Muzzy Trocar. And so that's kind of seems like the thing where everybody just kind of starts. Oh, what's your starter broadhead? And start with the Trocar or whatever. And I did that, and I just had terrible flight patterns. I mean, I'd release my arrow and I'd see it do all sorts of squiggly things and everything. And I had upgraded fletching. I had all my arrows refletched and everything. A lot of attention put into that because I thought that was my issue at first, but it wasn't. It was my broadheads. Because I would go and I went and did one of the subscription boxes, and I got the Afflictor Broadheads, which is how I found out about you guys. So I put this one right here. I put this one on, and I went and released my first, I think it was a 40-yard shot at my broadhead target, and that arrow was just a bullet. It just went straight as could be. And ever since then, I was sold on Afflictor. And so, the flight patterns and everything that we get out of these and stuff, and just the way that the arrow travels and of course hits that target and everything is just phenomenal. I really recommend the K2 and the fixed EXT and stuff. And I've had so much success with those broadheads. It's been awesome.
That's good.
We've still got your hybrid broadheads as well. So you've got your K2 hybrid, your hybrid or K2 hybrid HD, hybrid AXT. This is a big line. So you get your swine afflictors and your hybrid X, which we haven't really covered yet. And then you've got your new ultraviolets and your K2 mini. So kind of cover those for us. I know, especially for maybe some of the people in Texas or wherever, hogs hunting really prominent. Some of the swine afflictor stuff might be really interesting as well.
Yeah, and actually, both of our stainless steel broadheads, the Hybrid X and the Swine Afflictor, so they're solid stainless steel. They are 150 grains. So, originally we just, everybody wants to be FOC. They want to have some weight forward. They want to go heavier. So that was our answer for that. And it also worked out really good because Excalibur and some of the other crossbow manufacturers, they recommend 150 grain broadhead, and there's not very many 150 grain hybrids or mechanicals on the market. So we were able to answer that, and we found a lot of success there. So the stainless steel, and the difference between those two is the Swine Afflictor has our K2 tip, so it has that consistent blade angle, and it's a wider angle. We've had a lot of good reports from that broadhead, guys, just blowing through hogs. Yeah, absolutely. And so the K2 platform, of course, there's the K2, which is our signature broadhead. It's taken everything from African game to Alaskan big games, of course, to everything in the States. It's our most popular head because it's having a little bit of lag there.
Yep, just a little bit. That's all right. That's understandable when you're in Canada.
I am in the middle of nowhere. I mean, if you look on the map, nowhere, you'll see a picture of me right there. I'm telling you.
So cover those two new ones for us, because you got the ultraviolet and you got the K2 mini. What was the inspiration behind those? And then tell us a little bit about some use case scenarios for them.
Well, we wanted to, put a little bit of cool factor in with some broadheads, of course, but Keith thought that if he could shorten the ferrules on some broadheads, kind of change them up a little bit, make them so they were 1.5 inches cut, that it might, guys that want to shoot in different animals and they're afraid of having a mechanical with a bigger cut because they don't understand afflictor, and they've had experiences with other mechanicals where they haven't had any penetration. And so basically a lot of things get developed because of perceptions. People perceive things to be a certain way, and so a manufacturer says, well, since that's the perception and we can't change it, let's develop something that we know that they'll accept. And so that's kind of was the baseline behind that. So they're a shorter ferrule, 1.5 inches cut with our two tips. And then we just gave them some really cool colors, which made it really popular, of course.
Yep.
But that was the inspiration behind that. And so, and of course, you get really excited to launch something, and that's when your feral guy calls you out of Columbus, Ohio, and says, "Hey, I'm really behind," and you have launch dates set and everything else, and so we've had to keep pushing it back, but we're finally fully stocked, and we're building those like mad out of Texas right now, so they are very available.
All right, and all the broadheads, by the way, are made here in the U.S. So just in case anybody's curious about that.
Yeah. We have a nice facility that's built on the property at Afflictor in Terrell, Texas. This is a small family-owned business, and every one of those broadheads is hand-assembled, it's tested, it's spun. So everything going into a package has been touched and quality controlled.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. For all these broadheads and everything, do you guys offer replacement blades, rebuild kits, that whole nine?
Yeah, we sure do. So we have blades. They come in basically 3 sets in a pack, and you can get those for $14.99. So it's relatively inexpensive. If you would bend or chip a blade for whatever reason, you can just take out the tip screws and pop in some new blades. And then we have rebuild kits that do have extra drive keys and tips. So you won't ever hurt a tip. I mean, it would be really rare. You'd have to shoot into something pretty bad. But right now, our drive keys have a shearing technology. So when they hit something really solid, like if you hit a shoulder bone, that drive key is meant to shear, so the broadhead keeps penetrating. So if you were to shear a drive key, you could just pop it out and put a new one in. Nice. And there's an extra one in the package, and we are changing that technology back to a non-shearing key because of a bunch of penetration tests that we did. But right now, that's what we have, and it works just fantastic. But you can just get a kit and trade them out, and so you can keep a broadhead going a long time.
Awesome.
So as far as penetration, you're never going to hurt a broadhead in most situations. You can probably clean it up and just get ready to shoot again. I have some guys in Spain and some guys in Hawaii that blow up broadheads no matter what brand they use because there's lava rock or granite right behind everything that they shoot. And so it's kind of like a torture test for everybody's broadhead. Yep. And those guys blow stuff up all the time. So they're constantly ordering kits.
Yep. I had one that I launched one of mine at a coyote and I took a few hairs off of his upper back and hit some rocks behind it. But man, that thing just handled it like a champ. So probably do a blade swap for sure. But other than that, the broadhead's completely fine. So
great. That's what we want.
Yep. What are some of the most common mistakes that archers make when choosing a broadhead?
Well, that can be a tricky question. I think that a lot of times the biggest issue that I see, and it doesn't matter what broadhead it is, a lot of times people have failed with a mechanical broadhead, and of course everybody's quick to blame whatever broadhead it is. And a lot of times I see that it boils down to arrow weight. They simply don't have enough momentum. And, everybody's about speed. When I do a seminar, I'm quick to tell people, look, speed, all it does is help you miss faster. Speed is a good thing to have, but if you don't have momentum behind that arrow, then you're not going to get the penetration no matter what broadhead you're shooting. And so I really try to help people make sure they got a heavy enough arrow. And of course, the arrow setup itself, having the right spine, we're very successful out of any type of fletching, but some people just have never had good flight out of any broadhead because they're not spined correctly, or they're shooting a really steep helical with a really wide fixed blade, and all that does is act like a kite. It'll spin it off in any direction. And again, that's with any broadhead. And so I think guys get frustrated because they want to shoot what they already have in their quiver, and they go buy a broadhead that looks good, and they just struggle with accuracy, when a lot of times it's the arrow and the bow. Yep. And I think that once people have a better understanding of that, they tend to have more success and be happier with whatever they're shooting. And I'm happy if somebody calls us. We shoot everybody's broadhead in our testing, and I'm happy to tell people the truth when they call, who did what, how it worked. We're all in this together, and your broadhead, you have to have confidence in your broadhead no matter what. And it doesn't matter what brand it is. If we all work together to promote the sport, and if other broadhead manufacturers get on board and we just all help each other out, because every broadhead seems to have a niche. A guy has an eye for, just like buying a fishing lure. This one looked good. I like this. I bought it. And so broadheads are kind of the same way, and there's plenty to pick from. And so we just need to support the sport and not just be picking on each other's broadheads.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you know which grain exactly that you need for a broadhead? And you kind of just touched on that a little bit, but more specifically, like, how am I going to decide whether, I want the 100 grain, the 125, or maybe some of those 150s?
That's a good question. The first thing I would go to is what is recommended by your bow, and especially the crossbow guys. There's a lot of specific recommendations, and like the Excalibur I mentioned before, 150 grains for almost everything. And then you got some other bows that crossbows are saying 100 grains, and some are saying 125. So the first thing I would say is, what does your manufacturer recommend, and go from there. And the second thing is that I tell people, if you have an arrow that you really like, and it's super light, and you need to get your weight up, go ahead and go to an HD. Go to the 125, go to a 150, and get your weight up. Other than that, if you have a good balanced, weighted, spined properly arrow, I'm put a 100 grain broadhead on everything. That's what I like, and that's what I've always done, is just taking the 100 grain broadhead and use that for everything across the board.
Okay, perfect. Some of the things to consider when matching broadheads to your arrows and then to the bow. So when you're trying to get that perfect harmony between the whole setup, what are some specific points that you want to make sure you're hitting?
Well, I have not seen any difference. A lot of guys want to match their veins with their blades, make sure everything's in line. I have not on our broadheads, I have not noticed any different how they're screwed on. I haven't had to, rotate any inserts or anything like that. And a lot of guys are big on that. And in trad, especially with a lot of these big fixed blades that are wide, they kind of act like a rudder. Then it's very important to be matching your broadhead with your fletching and make sure that everything is nice and consistent there. It's very important to be spined right. If you release that arrow and you have 150 grains on the end and your arrow is just doing the big, huge flex, you have a lot more chances of cavitating or porpoising that arrow off track. So, if everything is matched up, you will be good to go. We haven't had any difference between fletching. Haven't seen any issues there. A lot of guys like the smaller blazers. Some of these guys like the 4-inch vanes, whatever you want. 3 fletch, 4 fletch. I haven't seen anything along the line with our broadheads having any real issues there.
Okay, perfect. One of the questions was talk about the relationship of a broadhead to fletching. You just covered that for me, which is awesome. Do you recommend a specific broadhead for somebody shooting the traditional bow like you had just mentioned?
Well, if you'd have asked me that before I started working for Afflictor, I would have said, yeah, absolutely. I would have certainly said that. But one of the things that sold me on Afflictor broadheads when I first got them and tested them before I was ever working for them was I decided to test them out of my trad bow. And, who shoots a hybrid or a mechanical out of their trad? Not very many people, right? And so I shot the original K2 against 4 other fixed blades, and the K2 out-penetrated it by 12 inches or more on every single time. Wow. And that's what blew me away is with that hybrid, because it's actually a locked fixed blade at entrance. So it acts as a fixed blade. The second the drive key is activated, it's acting exactly like a fixed blade at impact. And because of the way the tip design is, I was getting more penetration. And so for the first time, I was able, if a customer would call and say, hey, I'm a trad shooter, which fix do you recommend? I could say, well, this is the fix you would probably like. However, you have the ability now to try a hybrid broadhead on your trad setup. So we actually have a lot of trad guys that are using our hybrid. In fact, last year we had a guy for the first time took them, I don't think it was in Newfoundland, and they took 4 beautiful caribou, all with our hybrid broadheads out of trad.
Wow.
And they said it just worked phenomenal. They had full penetration. And so we're kind of excited about that because it's kind of something that you don't really hear of very often.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome to see the multi-use getting out of those. You can kind of just throw it on anything and it works perfectly.
Yep. So you can, and a lot of this all boils down to personal preference, something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Chris, I'm going to rapid fire some different species for you, and I'd like you to throw out which broadhead just kind of comes to mind for hunting that specific animal. I know some of them might be kind of similar and stuff, but we'll just try and have some fun with it. I think I might have thrown a few in there that might give you a little bit of a curveball there. So afterwards,
okay, sounds like a plan.
Afterwards, we'll just jump back and then kind of go over each one of those. So let's go ahead and get started. Mule deer.
K2 hybrid 100 grain.
All right, whitetail.
K2 hybrid 100 grain.
All right, elk.
K2 hybrid 100 grain.
Black bear.
K2 hybrid 100 grain.
All right, turkeys.
Oh, I like everything for turkeys. This isn't going to be a rapid fire question. Let's see. K2 hybrid 100 grain.
Okay. Bighorn.
Bighorn. K2 fixed.
Okay. Hogs.
Hogs. K2 hybrid 100 grain.
Okay. Javelina.
K2 hybrid 100 grain.
Okay. Moose.
K2 hybrid 100 grain.
What about a grizzly?
K2 hybrid 100 grain.
Okay. Buffalo.
Swine afflictor.
Swine afflictor. Nice. Caribou.
K2 hybrid 100 grain.
All right. And how about a Sasquatch?
That broadhead is in development. Oh, glory.
So most of those, it seems like that K200 or K2 hybrid 100 grain is really the popular choice. Now, there's a few in there that you kind of threw different ones, specifically like that buffalo bison, you threw out the swine. You're just trying to make a bigger cut, right? And get a little bit of more bleed out for that animal.
Yeah, actually, the reason I picked that is because if I'm going after something that's really, really thick, I'm already going to have a heavy arrow, but let's go FOC a little harder. And since that broadhead is 150 grains, I just would think maybe I could get really good FOC if I had a heavier head.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know that's a dream hunt of mine, so hopefully one day I'll be ordering those from you, and we'll be able to get something work. Awesome,
that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're currently in Canada. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing out there and how your whole trip got started. Now, is this a first-time thing or a traditional trip?
Oh, this has been a traditional thing. My family's been coming to this same camp for 70 years. So my grandparents found this place over 70 years ago, and when they drove all the way up here from Ohio, the cottages were leaky and falling apart, and the boats had holes, and the motors didn't work, and there was no refrigeration or running water. They had to go to a well. The refrigeration was a building packed in sawdust with ice that was hauled off the lake, so it was an ice house, and that's where you kept all your cold groceries. And as miserable as all that sounds, they had such a wonderful time that they kept coming back. And so then, of course, my dad came, and I've been coming here since I was 1 year old. So, and I worked here a little bit, some summers, and the people that own it have become family to me. So we're here as often as we can for any reason. So it doesn't matter if it's hunting, fishing, vacation, whatever. This is our go-to place, and it's beautiful. It's remote. It's a 23-mile long lake that you can drive to. The last 20 minutes is all gravel road. But if you see 7 boats on Saturday, it's crowded. So it's my kind of place.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it. So you guys right now are specifically hunting black bear. I'm assuming you're doing that over bait from some of the social media pictures that you guys showed.
Yes.
Break that down for us.
Bait's about the only way to go here. We don't have a lot of spot and stalk areas, and the bears are totally unpredictable as far as trying to pattern or anything else like you could a whitetail. So we hunt them over bait. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to come to it, but it does give us a little bit of an advantage. And for the archery guys, what that does is it gives them time to put a really good broadside double lung shot on a bear. That's the shot we're looking for here. 2 lungs on a bear. They don't go far at all. It's a really quick recovery. We've actually seen bears survive a single lung hit, and so we're very particular about how everybody is shooting, and seems to work out really good. But it has to be done over bait.
Absolutely. Yeah. How long ahead are you baiting? Do you have to set it out for a certain period of time for them to kind of catch the smell, or they hit it pretty quick? And then how do you go about scouting for something like that? Or is it just the long-term knowledge that you've had from having that family spot?
Yeah, great questions. So the outfitter here will start baiting about 4 weeks before the hunters start coming, and that is generally about the same time that the ice comes off the lake. A lot of our bait sites are accessed on the lake here, so you're just boating to them. So it's kind of neat, but you can't get in until the ice is off. And actually 3 weeks ago here, there was still 1.5 feet of snow in the woods.
Wow.
And he was baiting through all of that. Typically in the spring, the bears find the bait within 24 hours.
Wow.
Because they're hungry. They're looking for food. Most of our sets are on the lake, and off of the lake we are on different waterways, creeks and runoff areas. The bears seem to traverse those a lot, especially in the spring, because there's such a high beaver population here that the bears will continually work waterways looking for beavers. It's an easy prey. The females can be up early and pregnant and sluggish, and then after they've had their babies, they're another easy target up on the shoreline, and bears love to eat beavers. I mean, that's their big protein in the spring. And so we kind of take advantage of that in all of our setups.
Absolutely. Now, are you using typical ground blinds? Is there ever a use case scenario for a tree stand? How does a setup like that go?
Yeah, so we're half and half. There's tree stands here that I have. The that the guys can use, but we have a lot of ground blinds too, just because the terrain is so tough in some of these areas. There just isn't the right kind of trees. I mean, you may have a really dense woods, but since it's such harsh conditions up here in the winter, they may only be 6 to 7 inches in diameter, even though you're surrounded by trees. So it's really easy to put a ground blind up, and some of them are just a simple set on the ground with camouflage mesh in front of you. So you're not really in a typical, like a blind, so to speak. And that actually makes for a lot more exciting hunt, because the bears can walk around you and get right in front of you. And, I'm sure you've seen the videos on YouTube where the bear is kind of curious and he comes right up to visit you in the blind, and that happens. And so it's kind of a neat experience for especially a guy who's never hunted bear to have that happen.
Absolutely. That'd be a nice little visit for sure. How do you see bear hunting differ as far as the spring versus the fall? You kind of touched on it a little bit, but go a little bit more in depth for us as the differentiation between those two.
Sure. So spring to me is much easier. There's not a lot of prep. First of all, for the sites, you can just go in and start baiting, and the bears are hungry and they're searching, and also the sows are coming into heat. So if a sow finds your bait and is hanging around, you could easily have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boars coming in because she's in heat. So it makes for things to be very interesting. In the fall up here, we have just tons of wild blueberries everywhere. And on top of the blueberries, there's a high bush cranberry that grows on all the waterways. And there's also hazelnut thickets up and down the lake. So in the fall, there's a lot of food sources. So when we start our fall hunts, they try to start them as late as possible, hoping that most of those crops have finished up. And then that way the bears are moving off of the natural food sources and going to the baits, because the natural food sources are waning. However, blueberries tend to hang on really long, and so sometimes, the fall is a lot more difficult. And the site prep, the outfitter has to get in there much earlier to be able to start baiting, but also to clear the sites. Things grow. There's longer daylight here, so your typical weeds and things that might get in the way of a shot or the view of the bait, they grow so fast that you have to clear all of those sets with a weed eater with a blade on it to be able to hunt them at all. So sometime late summer, you're starting to prep these sites and get them baited earlier, hoping to pull the bears off the natural food. So I think fall's much more difficult.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. What are some specifics that you notice when you're going after bear that are kind of a requirement as far as like poundage or anything like that?
So, of course, just like in the States, Canada has minimum draw weight requirements and minimum weight requirements for crossbows, which it's very similar to the States. There's nothing that's really different there. Where we're at here, there's no 1-inch minimum cutting distance on broadheads. And so really you're wide open to do just about anything you want, very similar to the States, as long as you adhere to those minimal numbers, which includes everybody. It's usually down to a pretty low poundage, and I think crossbows is 150. So you really can use just about anything you want. Right
on. Anything new coming out from Afflictor that we should keep our eyes on, or things in the works? I know you got the K2 fixed, the 150 grains. Anything else that you can tell us, or tell us a little bit more about the K2 fixed?
Yeah, so we have some new heavyweights coming. The K2 fixed is going to soon be available in 150 grains. And in the not too distant future, you're going to see several more heavyweights coming into our fixed line. And I'm trying to say what I can say without getting myself grounded later on. I'm kind of safe up here right now. I can't get in trouble from my boss. So if I say the wrong thing, I have a few more days of freedom. But anyway, you're going to be able to see some of our fixed line going all the way up to 200 grains.
Wow!
And so there'll be some neat stuff coming there. Of course, we're making the drive key change. We're excited about that. And then we got some stuff coming that I know I would get grounded if I talked about, but it's super, super cool. We're in the next 6 to 8 months, we should be doing some stuff that's never been done in the industry again, and we're just super excited about it.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Well, I can't wait to see what develops and comes from you guys. Speaking of that, tell us where everybody can follow you on social, website, and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So we try to do a good job on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us under Afflictor Broadheads in both places. You can find us, our website is afflictorbroadheads.com. And of course, we're the only source for you to be able to order is direct from our web. We went consumer direct in January. So you can just, you can email us at any time. You can call us at any time. It's been a little bit difficult for me to communicate up here. It's been taking me about 24 hours to get back with people. Normally, when you call us, if you don't get an immediate answer with a live person, somebody's calling you back very soon.
Awesome. Awesome. Any closing thoughts?
Well, I'd just like to say thanks for having us on. It's been a pleasure, and wish everybody good luck. And, anytime if you have any questions about broadheads or your setup or whatever we can help with, whether you're shooting our broadhead or not, we're all in this together. So if we just help each other become better hunters and get some kids involved so the future of our sport is secure, I think we'll all be doing really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate your time today, and especially for driving out there in the middle of nowhere to find some service. I appreciate that. So we'll stay in touch.
You bet. My pleasure.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch and like to do some follow-up with you, and we'll talk soon.
All right. That sounds good. Maybe we'll have some good stuff to talk about after this week.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. Look forward to hearing about it.
All right. Thanks a bunch. You
Thanks
guys
again.
take care.
Talk soon. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the BowhuntingAZ Podcast. I really appreciate your support. I think Chris had a wealth of knowledge for us as far as broadheads, what specific broadheads we can look at to use for what hunt, and hopefully we covered the line in depth enough for everybody. I think these are great broadheads that everyone should go check out. And don't forget, also, we have the new Elk Series BowhuntingAZ sticker. You can get that online at www.bowhuntingaz.com. We still have the original stickers as well. Everything's in stock. Also got the new BowhuntingAZ Elk Series t-shirts available. Go order those online, and I'll get those sent out to you as soon as possible. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you again for listening. Don't forget to go hit those 5 stars and subscribe. Leave a little something for us in the review area. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.